As you think about the roles for your groups, you may want to think about how the tools in Lucid can help students meet the expectations of their roles. For example, the manager can use the Lucid cards and timeline to manage the group work. Lucid cards allows the manager to create a card that gives the assignment a title, a description, status, and an assignee. You can also select a date by which the assignment needs to be done. If the student needs to update the status, they can do it here. And that makes it so that it's much easier to know what's done and what needs to be done. In addition, students can use the timeline to organize their presentation. And as you can see, it drops it in and automatically assigns it the dates that you may have selected. You can also change the dates by pulling and dragging them this way. So this is a really good way of helping students to stay on focus and on task in completing assignments. The other thing that you may want to think about is how the recorder can organize the group discussions. The recorder can use the notes to organize these discussions. If you can't find any of the tools on these toolbars, you can open the More Tools on the bottom and pin the tool by clicking on the Pin button to pin it onto your board. So if I click on Notes, I have the ability to take team notes. I can create a to-do list. And I can do many other things using notes. Sometimes, if you want to separate the notes, a number of dashes is a good way to separate things. So you can separate them by day or by whatever is going on for the group. The presenter can use Lucid to actually create the presentation. As you can see, we have some content here. And the presenter can do this one of two ways. They can use the presentation builder, which can then be sent to Google Slides. To add a new slide, the student would simply click on Add New Slide, and they can resize the slide so that it fits around the content that they have created. If they want to add another slide, they simply click it again, and once again, they can resize the slide to make it fit around the content that they have created. So that is one way for students to create a presentation. If they click on the Present button, then they can move between slides in the presentation. The student can also use frames as a way of organizing the presentation. And this is really good if you want to create a presentation that students can reference asynchronously. To create frames, you'd click here, and once again, you simply drag to create the size of the frame. And I can use the Option and Drag button to create another frame that we can use to kind of organize content. Once I have the frames created, I can click on the frame button and click on paths to create a path. So now I have kind of the paths that I created for this presentation and these two frames that I want to create into their own path. When I'm done, I click on done, and now I have the path created. If I want other students to join the presentation and follow that path, I can click on the copy link. When the student pastes the follow link into their browser, then they will see that the presentation will open and they'll be prompted to follow the path that they've created. So they would click on follow path, and then they would be able to navigate through the path using these arrows. So as you can see, there's more than one way to share a presentation with classmates using Lucid Spark. One thing to keep in mind when you share the presentation, especially if you're sharing the path to follow, is that you may want to change the share settings so that students can only view the presentation. So the last role that you may want to consider is the reflector. One of the things that the reflector can do to build consensus is to use the voting tool in the facilitator toolbar. If they want to start a voting session, they just simply click on the vote button and it will start a voting session. They can make it private, they can make it, they can give a number of votes, they can create a timer for it, and they can even make it so that only certain objects are allowed to be voted on. In this case, we have a brainstorming session with a bunch of sticky notes, and we want to figure out which ideas we like the best. If I click on Start Voting, then the students have the ability to vote on items that they want to vote on. In this case, I only allowed one vote per voting session, but I can allow more if I want the students to be able to vote on multiple items. When I'm done, I end the voting and it tells me where people are in terms of their ideas. So there are a lot of tools that you can use to organize group work in Lucid Spark.